Shipbuilding is about much more things than just vessels. Almost 95% of India's trade by volume moves through shipping.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode. I'm your host, Deepika Upadhyay. Today, we are talking about something that may not always make headlines, but it's crucial to India's economic and strategic future: commercial shipbuilding and shipping logistics. Prime Minister Modi recently announced big steps, including granting infrastructure status to ships, tax reductions, and new incentives. The idea is simple: build more ships in India, fly the Indian flag on more vessels, and make shipping logistics a pillar of the Viksit Bharat Vision. To explore what this really means, I'm joined by Dr. Naresh Bana, an infrastructure expert with a globally acclaimed PPP advisor. Welcome to the show, Dr. Bana.
Namaste.
So let me start with the big picture. Why is shipbuilding suddenly being highlighted as part of India's growth story?
Deepika ji, shipbuilding is about much more things than just vessels. Almost 95% of India's trade by volume moves through shipping. India's maritime history is among the oldest in the world. You must have heard about the port of Lothal, 2004 BC, which served as a hub for trade with Mesopotamia. Ancient Indian kingdoms such as Mauryas, Cholas, and Satavahanas maintained powerful navies and engaged in extensive trade across the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal and beyond to Southeast Asia. The Chola dynasty in particular projected naval dominance as far as present-day Indonesia. Ports like Muziris, Sopara, and Tamrilipti flourished as centers of spices and textile trade, drawing merchants from Rome, Arabia, and China. With the arrival of European powers in 15th century, the seas of India became contested space and ultimately got dominated by British. Today, this rich heritage inspires India's modern maritime ambitions and its vision of becoming a global maritime nation. We have realized that relying on foreign built and foreign owned vessels is not feasible in the larger interests of the country. So, we are now focusing on domestic shipbuilding, strengthening self reliance, creating jobs in steel, engineering, and logistics, and building maritime power in the Indo Pacific. It's both an economic and strategic move.
That really shows how ships aren't just about trade lanes, but about India's broader strength and independence. Dr. Bana, this announcement about giving ships infrastructure status sounds technical. Could you break down what that actually means?
Of course, infrastructure status is usually reserved for highways, airports, power plants, or ports. By extending it to ships, the government allows shipbuilding projects to access cheaper long term loans, long term credits, or at a lesser interest rate. This is crucial because shipbuilding is capital intensive, just like other infrastructure, and granting infrastructure status to ships means recognizing shipbuilding and shipping projects as part of core infrastructure of the country, similar to roads, airports, railways, and power. This classification provides access to long term, low cost financing from banks and financial institutions, making projects more viable in a capital intensive sector. Developers can benefit from easier credit, longer repayment periods, and potential tax concessions. For shipyard and the shipyard operators, it lowers borrowing costs and improves their working capital. Overall, it reduces financial barriers, enhances competitiveness of Indian built vessels, and attracts private investment, thereby strengthening India's maritime capacity and supporting the government's Viksit Bharat Vision, as you mentioned earlier.
That makes it much clearer. Ships are now treated like highways of the sea. Dr. Bana, and beyond financing, what role do tax reforms and incentives play in making Indian shipbuilding globally competitive?
See, India has seen that incentives like production linked incentive and the tax benefits have played a crucial role in uh, India's economic growth. In last 11 years, we have seen that. So taxes actually matter a lot in shipbuilding as well. Tax reforms and incentives directly reduce the cost of building ships in India, making the sector more competitive globally. Lower goods and services tax, that's GST, which kicked in yesterday, eases cash flow pressures for shipyards and reduces upfront expenses. Fiscal incentives, such as subsidies for technology upgrades, modernization grants, and export linked benefits, further cut production costs. These measures narrow the pricing gap between India and established global players like China, Korea, and Japan. And by lowering tax burdens and offering targeted support, the government enables Indian shipyards to compete globally and deliver vessels to global clients in addition to building for Indian clients, and thereby pitching Indian shipbuilding at par with best in the world. That makes Indian built ships for far more attractive both for domestic use and for international buyers.
So, in simple terms, lower taxes and smart incentives make India's ship both affordable and attractive worldwide. Moving on to our next question, Dr. Bana, that's fascinating for big shipyards. But what about the smaller dockyards along our coast? Do they also benefit?
Of course, they will. It's like MSME sector. They are already building, but not at the scale which we are looking at now. And smaller yards often built coastal ships, the smaller crafts, fishing boats, and mid-sized cargo carriers. The renewed policy focus, which you have seen, we have also brought in a Coastal Shipping Act, and coupled with infrastructure status and tax incentives, offers significant opportunities in this sector for smaller dockyards and regional economies. Traditionally, these dockyards handle fishing boats, coastal vessels, and mid sized carriers, but often they have been facing financial distress and financial paucity of funds for technology upgrades and many other things. So, with easier access to long term capital and reduced uh, 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 problems, they can modernize easily, adopt better technologies, and create a lot of local employment, skill development, and support industries such as steel fabrication and marine equipment. The coastal states like Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala could see vibrant maritime clusters emerging, reviving traditional shipping hubs. In turn, these regional economies can gain stronger growth engines, and they can have their much balanced development and integrate better into India's broader maritime vision and Viksit Bharat uh, ambitions.
That's heartening. It's not just about mega yards, but also about reviving coastal communities. Dr. Bana, what are public private partnerships avenues in India renewed focusing on shipbuilding and granting its infrastructure status?
Thank you, Deepika ji. That's my favorite.
Yes, I know
Uh,
that, sir.
so, you see, public-private partnership is certainly going to play a crucial role in India's renewed focus on shipbuilding and uh, granting ships infrastructure status is going to play a very critical role in that. Firstly, you see, ships are not built just anywhere. Ships are built in the shipyards. And the development of shipyard and modernization is a prime PPP avenue where PPP can be utilized. And private investors can co develop new shipyards or upgrade the smaller dockyards with advanced facilities backed by viability gap funding or concessional financing. This can be enabled and the infrastructure can come up. Secondly, the maritime clusters and ancillary industries such as steel fabrication, marine equipment, and ship repair facilities can be structured under PPP framework. The effort would bring in reduction in dependence on imports of ship components while creating regional employment. And thirdly, the logistics and coastal shipping projects from roll on roll off vessels to container feeders can be developed with private operators where the government supports and policy government will support with policy and tax incentives. And then we can't leave sight of the climate and the green shipbuilding initiatives. Those include a vessel powered by LNG, hydrogen, or hybrid fuels that offers scope for PPP-driven R&D and production, aligning with India's sustainability agenda. So, by combining fiscal incentives, infrastructure status, benefits, and PPP model, India can accelerate shipbuilding competitiveness and continue their progress, as I said already, towards that Viksit Bharat vision.
That's a powerful blueprint. PPPs seem to be the bridge between vision and real world execution. So let's connect this to the national goals. How does expanding the fleet of Indian flag, Indian built ships help India in the long run?
Very interesting. You see, there are two simple words, the control and savings. First, more Indian flagged vessels means we are less dependent on foreign ships, saving huge foreign exchange outflows, almost as large as our defense spending today. Secondly, it gives us strategic control in terms of global disruptions like during pandemics or conflicts. So, it is most obvious that expanding India's commercial shipping fleet of Indian flagged and Indian built vessels serves multiple national goals economic, strategic, and symbolic. Economically, it reduces dependence on foreign vessels for carrying the cargo. It could be containers, it could be bulk cargo, and it saves billions of dollars in freight payments that currently flows outside. Strategically, a larger Indian flagged fleet gives the nation greater control over critical supply chains, ensuring resilience during global disruptions and pandemics. It also enhances India's naval and commercial presence in the Indo Pacific, vital for securing sea lanes and supporting blue economy. On the symbolic front, showcasing made in India ships on global waters reinforces national pride and aligns with Atmanirbhar Bharat goals. Together, these benefits drive the government's Viksit Bharat vision, where maritime strength becomes a pillar of India's rise it as an economic and geopolitical powerhouse. And finally, it's about national pride. Indian built ships sailing globally, strengthening the Made in India identity.
Definitely, sir. That really ties shipping to sovereignty, both economically and strategically. Sir, finally looking ahead, what could be the long term impact of all of this on India's maritime sector and global role?
Yes, India is setting the stage for a stronger, self reliant maritime ecosystem. Over time, India could become a regional hub not just for building vessels but also for ship repair, maintenance, layoffs, and logistics. It's not just about building more ships, it's about creating clusters of skilled manpower, investing in green shipbuilding with cleaner fuels, and positioning India as a leader in sustainable maritime practices. This also boosts trade, competitiveness, and secures India's role in the Indo Pacific in particular. In essence, a stronger maritime sector means a stronger India on the world stage. It's both an economic driver and a strategic asset, perfectly aligned with the Viksit Bharat, as I say repeatedly. Thank you.
That paints an inspiring picture. India not just sailing with the world, but shaping the future of global shipping. So, what we have heard today is that shipbuilding is not just an industry, it is a multiplier for trade, security, and self reliance. With infrastructure status, tax incentives, and strong government backing, India's maritime sector is poised to grow from small dockyards to global shipping routes. Thank you, Dr. Naresh Bana, for joining us today and unpacking this story. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Stay with us for more conversations on how India is charting its course towards Viksit Bharat. Namaste.
Namaste.